Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is the second hour news check and we'll be focusing on mental health. Some have called it a silent killer in the society. Now, the Ministry of Health reports that 25% of the population currently may experience a mental health condition at some point, placing that 1 in every 10 Kenyans are living with a mental disorder. That's why this morning we do have psychologists here with us, experts in that particular field, to tell us where are we going wrong and what can be done. We do have Dr. George Omanya, a counseling psychologist at the Global Strategic Pillar. Also Mwachiro William, who is also a counseling psychologist. Also talk to us on our social media platform, especially if you have ever been affected with this particular disorder. How were you able to overcome that particular situation? Talk to us on our social media platforms. We do have psychologists in the house. They will be giving you suggestions on how to handle that particular case. We're also keeping a close eye on various events that are currently happening across the country, with our reporters send to various locations, and they will be updating us on their various events that are currently happening across the 47 devolved units. Let me get to introduce my guests once more. Dr. George Omanya, a counseling psychologist, Global Strategic Pillar, on my left. Karibu sana daktari.
Thank you so much.
Also next to him is Mwachiro William, a counseling psychologist. Mwachiro, karibu sana.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Daktari.
Yes.
What are some of the contributing factors that you might have witnessed in this, your line of profession, that could contribute to mental disorders that we're witnessing in the society?
Thank you so much. Mental disorder is the order of the day, if I may call it. And one of the issues that has really pushed so many people into negative mental health is the issue of, lifetime crisis. When I talk about lifetime crisis, I'm talking about financial pressures, and I'm also talking about social relations. And this has really taken toll of people. Everyone is crying, oh, maisha ni magumu, and things of the kind. And when financial pressures push us to the wall, we may lose our mind in the process. So those are some of the major, right now, the major crises we are experiencing, especially in this nation. Yeah.
And Mwachiro, the same thing, because you see, sometimes I might be down, which I've experienced most of the time sometimes, but when I see on my M-Pesa confirmed you have received, at least I get a little bit lighter. Yeah. So why is that case? Have we, as a society, ensured that the only thing that makes us happy is money?
Well, we are conditioned to believe that money satisfies physiological needs, and these physiological needs push us to progression. So if we lack that money, there's an inevitable action or reaction to stressful triggers at that point. So it is highly necessary for us now to restructure the thought process of money and worth, to put it from the aspect of resilience through that. Yeah.
Daktari,
Yes.
other factors that could have contributed, aside from money matters, what are these other issues that could contribute to send somebody to the brink?
I do a lot of mentorship, especially among the young people. And one of the contributing factors right now as we speak, especially among the young people, is what we call joblessness. You see, so many young people go to the university or colleges with a lot of expectation. Somebody say, okay, once I graduate, I know I'm going to get a job. And when they come out of that scenario and then they find qua ground, things are different, then these guys are very much frustrated. We had a case, I hope you guys heard about it, of a student, in fact, from a very big university around here. And then these students, after graduating in 2019, then after 2 years, he could not get any meaningful employment. So the guy had to take away his life. And then he writes, as you said or not, that, I think the pressure is enough. So that joblessness is a very huge crisis, especially in the nation right now. That is why we are also training the young people that, if you can't get what you trained for, then you can try something else. It must not be the economics that you studied at the university. And then another thing that is also killing us is the issue of gambling. You know, when people don't get jobs, then they try now to cope up in other ways. So gambling has become a burden, especially in the society, whereby young people will always try to win. You see, if you're a gambler, there is always that essence there, kwamba, I'll win the next one. So you want to cope up with the loss, comforting yourself that I'm going to win. And then you find that you are out of your mind completely, especially by the time you are not able to get something. So joblessness and gambling, major crisis right now as we speak, yes.
And Mwachiro, where is the problem? Are we setting our expectations that high? For example, the instance Daktari has given us here, when you leave campus, you're expected to be met with a job out there. And so that we cannot be falling to incidences where we are starting to gamble, we're starting even to steal from other people. So the problem, where is that particular gap? Where is that missing link?
Well, I'd like to take us all the way back to our childhood. We are consistently conditioned to success. I need to study, I need to go out here, I need to get a lot of money, a house, a car, and children. That is the typical standards that have been set. Now, if this doesn't happen, then there's the criticism that comes into mind. Whenever there's depression and suicidal thoughts, there is something we call irrational thoughts that start to reappear. Now, these irrational thoughts will be based on the conditioning that has been happening. Oh, you haven't gotten a job, you haven't gotten a car. Oh, I'm such a shame, I'm so useless. And that brings us down to a very negative path. With gambling, we are constantly struggling to soothe an inner conflict that is within us, day in, day out. And it's completely human to seek soothing, but once it comes to self-medication, that's giving us an understanding that we are uncertain of the problem that we are facing. And that uncertainty grows as the gambling progresses, and the fixation is now in the gambling instead of the key issue that was there in the first place.
And of course, going backwards, these other issues that have been cropping up, these temporary reliefs that Mwachiro is speaking of, Daktari, some have even resorted to drugs and alcohol to ensure that they cope with the day-to-day. When they see their colleagues, maybe, when they see their peers going to work or doing other meaningful things on social media, which has also contributed. So, Doctor, how do people now in this modern society go about those particular situations?
Well, thank you so much. William has mentioned societal pressure. Let me tell you, if you want something that is now killing, especially the young generation, is societal pressure. There's a lot of pressure outside here. I remember by the time I was not married, and you see I was trying to chase my academic world. And then people were like, why? What's happening with you? You know, you have to be like so and so. You have to be like, so you are being compared to somebody whom the society perceives that, you know, they have excelled in life. So when you look at your life, you say, I'm a failure, for sure. I'm a failure. That alone will plunge you into depression. And before you know, you are into a mental health crisis. Now, the only thing that we need to do as a society is what we call awareness. Awareness is very important. I sometimes when clients come to my office for consultation or counseling issues, they will tell you that, you know what, I'm now out and about. I don't know what to do. You know, I've messed up my life and things of the kind. And then you ask this client, when was the last time you visited a counselor? They will tell you none. You see, it is a culture whereby we are waiting up to the last moment, you know, to become sick, and then we go and seek medical attention. I want to challenge all of us, you know, like a nation, let us take mental health seriously. Like every school, I want to see a book. Like there is a book I'm working on, and if it is approved, it will be used across, you know, all the schools. I've factored in the CBC and even our 844 that is living, and the universities. Why is this important? If a child, especially in maybe grade 1, knows about mental health, the better option. Because we are bringing a generation which are just running after problems instead of being proactive. Being proactive means we are supposed to be aware that when you don't feel okay, it is okay, you know? And you know what? They say when you have mental, issues, then the society perceives you as a mad person. So when you come to my office and you tell me that, you know what, Dr. I have a mental issue, then somebody next to me will say, hey, ni mwendo wazimu, or something of the kind. So I think if we do a lot of awareness, then we are going to cope up with this. When HIV/AIDS came to Kenya, you remember, and there was a lot of stigma, a lot of stigma. But imagine with a lot of awareness, you find that right now, if you tell me you are HIV positive, it doesn't mean a very big thing to us. Why? Because of awareness. So awareness is going to take us very far, and we are able to help every Tom, Dick, and Harry, especially in this nation, so that we can have a brighter future, we can have a productive population.
And what are the triggers, maybe for our viewers who are watching us, Mwachiro, they should look out for because it could make the situation even worse?
The first trigger is now beginning to look at the inside, how we self-talk. Now, this self-talk, I'd like to take us all the way back to the childhood stages and development stages. This self-talk creeps from unaccomplished desires that are there. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. Let us learn to be gracious with ourselves. Talk about these issues, not from a perspective of criticism, but from a perspective of acknowledgement. Funny thing is, in order for that to happen, the system needs to include mental health practitioners or integration of mental health awareness to help these individuals get a better view of themselves. Why am I stating with the whole system? It's because it rules the standards of a society. If I feel I haven't accomplished something, of course I'll feel guilty and see my friends showing off on Instagram or on TikTok. I'll be in the pits, honestly. And I totally agree with what Dr. has talked about, having to mingle the mental health system into schools. That is the first place that true change starts.
Daktari, also, we're looking at where did we go wrong as a country. You hear what Mwachiro is saying, the old systems. What are these old systems, if you can highlight on them, and what can be done to ensure that they are better?
Thank you so much. You see, when you look at our curriculum, I've sat in so many reviews panels of the curriculum, right from CBC. I'm a teacher by profession, by the way, up to the university where I lecture right now. Let me tell you, a lot is to be admired. Why? Our children, especially at the university, our children are struggling. These guys are struggling. I mean, how do I navigate this? How do I get out of this? I have cases in my office whereby a student has not been attending classes. The parents come to ask them, did this boy sit for this semester? And you see, the boy did not sit for that semester. The boy only stepped in class once, and the year ended. And the parent is sending money every now and again. And you see the parent is mad. The parent is depressed again. Then I tell them, come on, you know what? If we are able to, you see, like we didn't integrate mental health in our curriculums, and that is why we were just teaching our children, get A. If you get an A, you have qualified, you become a hero in the society or something of the kind. But can I amaze you? You may get that A, but you become a nobody. Why? Because the status of your mind cannot accommodate a lot of things. Let me ask you, for example, if I have an A material, I'm an A material, I got a first class in the university, but I don't know what we call how I can relate with people. I don't know what we call problem solving. how will I navigate the crisis of life? It becomes very difficult. That is why, you see, we have a life skill. On that timetable, go to primary schools, go to high schools, they have a life skill lesson. And the ministry say categorically that, you know what, teachers, please go and check this and maybe train those children on those life skills. But do you know what is happening? During life skill is when mathematics teachers come in. Let us polish something on algebra. You know, so even teachers have not embraced the life skill issues. They have not embraced, the mental, health issues. I'm saying this, we need to get out and even train the teachers before they use a manual, before you give them a manual to use. We need to train them because even those teachers are struggling. Majority are struggling with mental issues. If you are struggling right now, how will you help me? If you are into alcohol, you are the only teacher, you are the only role model in that particular class, how have you helped me? I mean, there should be policies that we need to integrate in our education system, and even religious, centers where we have the churches, they are supposed to teach the believers about mental health, like what the Islamic religion is doing. If we can just add something in the madrasas, I'm telling you, we can have a very productive nation.
And going back to the issue of stigmatization, Mwachiro, we see not so many people opening up in the society. What can be done to ensure that more people visit psychologists and tell them their problems at the end of the day?
Normalize conversations on mental wellness. That is the first step. I can't seek assistance if I feel like my issue is humongous and it's devilish. I need to reach out to someone who will constantly not berate me with criticism, but listen and suggest and forward for more help. If we start with normalization, then we proceed to sensitization in different institutions, as Dr. has talked about. But I feel there is a specific group of people that are not really looked at whenever we talk about mental health. And I feel the focus hasn't been much on the police force whenever it comes to mental health, because they undergo through a lot and they're as human as possible. And such disruptions in their mental wellness can cause chaos in their day-to-day lives. And also our children being able to ensure that we learn more about the milestones they undergo. Kids don't have a structured, way of thinking as they grow up. Kids undergo different stages, and in those different stages, the thought process advances. So the more you're conscious, aware, the more you'll know how to approach your kid without looking at them as little adults, but as kids specifically.
Now, the same question, Daktari, but with a little bit of twist. We know the African setup, how we have been raised at the end of the day. When you tell, let's say, the old folks, the Gen X, what they are called by Gen Z, at the end of the day, when you tell them your problems, they will tell you, move on, or endelea tu, this is a small thing. So belittling such situations, how can we normalize and ensure that these issues at the end of the day are addressed? Because you see, meeting a psychologist, especially amongst our peers, people will take you for what you've just clearly stated. When mwenda wazimu.
It is very true. Thank you so much. Africa setup is not, has not really embraced, especially issues to do with mental health. I remember a client came and was really complaining about her daughter. Then I asked her, when did she begin behaving like this? Then she tells me, you know what? This kid, I feel like I should just even do away with her. And then I'm like, when was the last time you guys talked about your issues? I mean, did she come openly and tell you what she's, Then she tells me, I can't listen to a child who is provided with everything. I mean, she's not paying rent, she's not doing what. You see, when you lack listening skill, you are losing people every day. Why? For somebody to go and commit suicide, it doesn't erupt one day. You know, like I decided today, I'm going to commit suicide. No, it is something that is building up. The pressure and the stress that is building up. Somebody is into bipolar and nothing has been done about it. Then they easily take their lives away. So what is very important, and that is why I'm repeating this, we need to listen as a society. When you come to me and tell me, Ayabana, I'm not feeling well. Yesterday I didn't sleep. I need to pay attention and ask you, why didn't you sleep? And then when you tell me I can give you an advice, let me tell you, moving forward is not very easy. I read the Bible, and in Exodus 14, verses 15, the Israelites were crying, and God was telling Moses, tell the children of Israel to move forward. Let me tell you, moving forward is not very easy. Why? Moving forward needs a lot of support. I'm here because I was supported, by the way. You are here because somebody supported you. There was a time you wanted to give up, even in class. Maybe in mathematics you were really performing so poorly. And then, all of a sudden, there is this particular teacher who believed in you. In this book, I call Root to Fruits, I've dedicated this book to my teacher. You know, my performance was so bad until a teacher abused me, and I could not go to school. I kept on crying. I didn't know I was into depression. I didn't know who was to help me. Then this particular teacher tells me that, you know what, you can do well, my friend. Pick up yourself. You can do well. I'll be assisting you to do this. That was the teacher who made me appear for a magazine for the first time in our village. I mean, he's the teacher who has made me write this book, Root to Fruits. I believe in every human being, and every human being only needs a helping hand. If I give you a helping hand today, if I give you a listening ear today, I'm telling you, I might have acquired a generation, a very big generation there. So we need to develop, let it become a habit of listening to others, even at a place of work. When somebody tells you they have anxiety, listen to them. Because we spend so much time at places of work than even in our family setup. So let us listen to them. Then when it comes to family, let me tell you, my friend, where great progress starts, it is in our families. If I can't find peace in my family, I'm telling you, I've lost it. Because I'll be seeing family, my home, as a small prison in my mind. And then when I come at a place of work, because I'm traumatized, I have all that, you know, I will not become productive. By the way, those who are going through mental health crisis cannot relate, even with colleagues. They can't relate well. And that is why if you see somebody is very mad and somebody who normally talks to people the way they want, please bring them, we help them, because they are in mental health crisis. So we really need to, as a society, let us begin normalizing conversation, and we help one another. Yes.
And Mwachiro, what other challenges are they cropping up, especially in this particular sector, so that we can address this issue adequately?
Now, the first challenge is a misunderstanding of morality. I'll state this first. Rigidity is not morality. We all have standards to reach, but we can't compromise it for the sake of following a really rigid system from a basis of morality. That is what cuts down communication. That is what cuts down normalization. Our brothers and sisters out here are going through a lot. And they wouldn't want criticism from a basis of morality. And that's why I totally agree with Dr. Ari here also when he talks about the religious sectors. That is the root place to start with also. We tend to talk about institution of childhood, the home institution, the church institution, and the work institution. If we're able to influence the church institution and the home institution, the church from the basis of morality and the home from the basis of ethical etiquette and so on, we can go places. This thing, instead of cutting it from the top, we can start destroying things from the root and structuring a beautiful place. A more beautiful place that doesn't look at someone who's bipolar and criticize them for their issues. A beautiful place where if I have a problem, I can simply march to daktari without the fear of probably high financial strain in looking at my healthcare or other issues. We must first start from the root. Restructure the idea that morality dictates criticism. Instead, focus on one thing. You can be in control of your life, even if you're not, undergoing much of moral standards that are stereotypical at that point.
And Mwachiro, given that you've explained that, for example, in this working area, you come there every day and you normally see this person talking every day. They are normally extroverts, but for that particular day, they turn into introverts. They don't want to talk to anybody. They're irritated by small things. So how do you go about in helping that particular colleague, aside from even recommending for you to go to a psychologist? In that particular scenario, how do you deal with them?
Listen, don't judge. Pay attention. You can listen through your ear and listen through your mouth. By listening through your mouth, you don't simply, na hiyo ilikuwa mbaya, maze umepitia, No. You listen, I understand where you're coming from. Would you like to get any help? Paraphrase whatever has been shared to you to keep the conversations going. Fix your body posture. Don't always talk from a perspective of turning back while your friend or colleague is here. Face them, talk to them, and probably if there's a chance of assessment for any suicidal risk, you can be willing to take them, but that needs sensitization also, on where you get to understand if there's any plan, is there any ideation that is there, and if there's a plan in place, then you would suggest a mental health practitioner. If there's ideation, you listen and still suggest a mental health practitioner. It always starts with listening and empathy, not sympathy. Yeah, sympathy is simply feeling bad about what the person is and is going through, but you're not looking at the aspect of, okay, so this and this has happened, how can I help? How can I proceed in helping? Most people confuse the aspect of sympathy from empathy, and I totally understand, because we want to feel for this person, but you can't feel because you haven't fitted directly into his shoes. Try listening, try understanding from their perspective, and suggest help for them. Yeah.
And Doc, to that particular matter, do we have enough policies in this particular sector to ensure that these gaps that we're witnessing, especially here in the country, what are these policies that are missing? Or are those policies in place, but the implementation bit is where there's a problem?
Thank you so much. We have policies. In fact, after COVID-19, that is in the year 2020, the government categorically made it very clear that every organization must value mental health. They must have a counselor, a counseling psychologist who can be helping their members. But you see, go to these companies today and ask them when was the last time they talked about mental health issues. You will find that we have so many documents are so good. So we have very good policies, even HR policies, by the way, because even counseling is under HR. That is the department that deals with mental health issues and things of the kind. But you'll find that implementation is very, very poor. So that is what is bringing us back to where we are today. A CCTV footage, a very disturbing one. In one of the companies I was called now to talk to train their workers for 4 days. A worker really tried. You see, they have a boiler full of water, and then this guy wanted to jump. Then he came back. I don't know what he was thinking. He sat down, doing something like a meditation. Then He wanted to jump again. He came back. Then the third time, he jumped into the ball and he was dead. You see, this guy, if you do the assessment clearly, I think he only lacked one person in that company he could cry on. I mean, a shoulder where he could cry on. That is what that particular person lacked. So you see, this company is calling me now to go and train their workers on mental health for 4 days after that particular crisis. Can I amaze you? I did that one in 2023. It was once, and I've never gone back there. And I was asking a child, have you ever done any other mental health, facilitation? Then they tell me, no, we still don't have the funds. And that was it. So I'm really pleading with all the organizations, however small it is, please value the mental space of your members. And if you don't do that, because you see, I can only become productive. Today I'm here, I can speak to the world today because of my mental health state. If I lose it, or if there's something that is disturbing, I cannot ever become productive. So please, let us hold one another's hand. Yes, the crises are there, life is difficult, but let me tell you, in every crisis, you can always thrive. In every crisis. We did it during COVID-19. And let me tell you, Kenyans, nothing can bar us from moving forward. We fought this battle, and I'm telling you, where there's a will, there's a way. If you feel overwhelmed, please, and don't wait to feel overwhelmed. Look for us. I do counseling for free. And if you go to my Facebook account, Mentor Austin Omanya, you only text me there, I book you for counseling. Because I understand there are guys who can not even afford money to go and see a psychologist. And one of the policies I think the government is now supposed to blend in, you see this is SHA, or is it still NHI?
Yes,
SHA. Actually, you can use that card to assess the mental health, wellness program. You can just walk to a psychologist, you tell them, I'm using SHA. So that should be very, very clear by the Ministry of Health, so that we can help our people. People are losing it, and we are only barring. We are very good at social justice, whereby after you are dead, we form a WhatsApp group to give you a decent burial. But no one is caring right now what we are going through. I think it is high time as a nation. I'm ready. If the president calls me in State House today, I will sit with him and develop even more policies. And then we now do the implementation and the follow-up, because implementation is very important. And that is why I believe in this nation we could be going very far, especially from August House. In Parliament, if they can come up and grip this well, and then we have the implementers in place, I'm telling you, we shall be home and dry.
And Mwachiro, the instance we've been given here by Daktari, where that employee, if he could have gotten even one shoulder to cry on. So there's this stereotype where people say men don't open up as opposed to their female counterparts. What do you have to say about that?
Well, that has been a long-living stereotype through years. Men are supposed to be stoic, the typical Iron Man who stands there. Probably they had a long day, and they find grace in staying still and stoic. That doesn't work these days. I don't think that gives you a sense of masculinity, to be precise. I'll still go back to stating that in order to change this idea of lack of expression, we need to start teaching these kids from the ground to the top. Being able to invest in sensitization, especially for men. Because we do feel our obligation is to simply provide and not feel anything else, not being emotional. We view emotions as a weakness, but it's the vice versa. If you're emotional, if you cry, it's your human right to cry. It's your body telling you that you're undergoing a lot of emotional strain. You need to release. If that doesn't happen, that's when stressful issues come up. Your body even tends to reply to the stressful issues. So we need to break that stereotype. You can't break it in one place. You need to start with the institutions. You need to start in the work area, especially with the employee assistance programs. That is a key thing to start with so that individuals can find expression to be easy despite the place. You need to also sensitize the parents, talk to them, probably even involve them in school activities with their kids on where there's some sort of classroom activity with your parent on where expression is normalized in any point and in any time. If we start by changing how we approach the system, how the system should go, and involve mental health aspects, then I feel we are definitely going to go way, way far, and we will avoid any possibilities of suicidal issues that aren't observed in time. Yeah.
And Dr. you hear what Mwachiro is saying, it's a mindset. So how do we change that mindset now?
Mindset is the easiest thing to change if you know the right methods. You know what? If we cannot develop a culture of empathy, especially I'm still at place of work. I know how a fellow employee plunged me into depression. A fellow employee, simply because she was my supervisor. And you see, these are people who are not sensitive towards the mental space of another employee. They dictate, they want you to do what they want, and they want to give you more troubles. Let me tell you something. People are dying at place of work. And places of work have become like prisons of the mind for so many people, whereby people don't feel appreciated, discrimination is at the top, and things of the kind. I need to, normally when I go to train the organizations, I start with the top management, because those are the policymakers, because those are the vision bearers. If they don't, they don't condense it to that watchman as they get there, I'm telling you that organization will be a thorn in the flesh. So it should start with those top guys. And I normally remind people that, you know what? Workplace is your best family. Please develop a rapport, a good rapport with people at workplace. Why? These guys, you spend a lot of time with them. And imagine if you want to sit on this desk the entire day and you are not in good terms with me. And I'm your boss. And I feel you are supposed to exit because you are not, dancing to the beats of my drum. What do? I'll give you more burden in terms of work, and you'll be reporting. I'll be giving you show calls every night again. And you see, you have a family. Guys, how many employees have we lost? In fact, an organization just near us here, we lost an accountant. Why? The accountant had a lot of pressure, and this guy had to commit suicide. When the investigation was done, it was categorically they found out that the immediate supervisor gave this guy hard time until this guy saw nothing but to end his life. Guys, it is very terrible. Please let us cultivate a culture of understanding. And that is why team building is very important. Companies that don't do team building have a lot of problems. You know, when I take you out there, I do team building. That is what I do in this town. When I take you out there and we are able to, we have fun, we jump as we learn, you find that somebody has been relieved. If I feared you because you are my boss and I can see you dancing, I'll be like, this guy is just, yes, we can always blend that cohesion. That cohesion is very important. We can develop that culture. And the mindset can always be changed. If you are reading the Bible, just go to Romans 12 verses 2. You'll find that the mind is the most powerful weapon. And the Bible says if we change our mind, then we are able to grab a lot of things in life. The mind is a magnet. So it is upon you. That thing should start in the family, where you are raising children. Some parents, I don't know, they have neglected their role completely. They are absent completely. They don't know what their children are going through. And they don't know that even children are stressed, are depressed. And at that age, we are supposed to be very sensitive and find out, listen to them and talk to them. So parenting right now, we have to integrate with mental health awareness, whereby we train the parents on how they can raise a generation of hope. I think that one will be a very good culture, because that is a seed that when the fruits are out, it is from a common origin, and we shall have a very productive nation.
Okay. Let me start with you, Mwachiro. Given that we've come an end to this particular program, let me accord you at least a minute each. But as you respond, Mwachiro, I wanted to know, are there enough health practitioners in this sector as you conclude?
Oh, yeah, there are quite a lot. Mental health practitioners, I've worked with multiple, and I've been able to get to assist quite a number of individuals. I've worked with establishments that focus on assessment of risk factors. I've worked with establishments that have been helpline crisis. I've worked with establishments that have really focused on spreading awareness in the grassroots areas, the key places. So people are really working hard in regards to spreading awareness. And I do feel for viewers outside there, they need to get that exposure of the establishments that are there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Your final thoughts?
I'm very much grateful, especially to the counselors and the work they are doing. The other day we had all the university counselors here. I was training them for 1 week. And one major challenge that we still have is that we are, we have enough counselors, but we don't have clients. Clients are waiting until the thing becomes a blown out stage, and it becomes very, very difficult. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is very easy to lose your mind, especially if you are not supported. We are ready to support you. Guys, come for help. And you see, it is for free. Why should you die when you can still get help? Mentor Austin Omanya. Go to my Facebook account, my YouTube channel, Mentor Austin Omanya. I'm able to help you get, contact with me. We have a group of counselors, and there is no deficit. Where William is also a member. We have a group of counselors. We have those groups, even on WhatsApp groups. So we have a group, we call it cohort 1. Then another group, cohort 2. Then we can even use the cohort 1 now to come and give us their testimonies. If somebody was struggling with drugs, how are they helped? How did they come out of that? So it is very important, guys. Don't cry alone. Yet the help is here. Destiny helpers are seated here. Okay. See you next time, guys.
Thank you so much. That is Dr. George Omanya, a counseling psychologist. The Global Strategic Pillar, also Mwachiro William, a counseling psychologist. Gentlemen, thank you for making time for us on KBC Channel 1. That concludes our program here on News Check. Don't go too far. Very own Kasichana Masha is up next with Kurunzi Mashinani, and the sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Susan Thuku. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. Don't go too far. Kurunzi is up next.